God is dead. How does this statement make you feel? What feelings do you have right now? Don't worry, just speak up. What kind of feelings this statement stirs in you?
Upsets us.
What? Upsets us. Good.
Resentment.
What else? Huh?
Resentment.
Resentment. Very good. What else?
Gets under your skin.
Yes. What if I tell you that we shouldn't worry about this statement at all? Because it was largely misunderstood. At least in 2 points. First, we cannot understand this statement literally. You know who said these words? Who remembers? His first name was Friedrich Nietzsche. Right. Nietzsche was an atheist. He didn't believe in God. He didn't believe God even existed. So he couldn't possibly mean it literally, because if God doesn't exist, there is no one to die, to be killed, to be dead. So what did he mean? And what he meant was that the Western world killed faith in God, which is true, largely true. The second misconception is, and you can see it in especially young neo-atheists putting, these words on t-shirts and parading it. The second misconception is that he wasn't happy about it. He wasn't happy about the fact that the Western world killed faith in God. Although he was an atheist, he was terrified. He wasn't like, oh, we killed God, hallelujah. No. Listen to his voice. Listen to what he says. God is dead. God remains dead, and we have killed him. How shall we comfort ourselves, the murderers of all murderers? Do you see the celebration here? Or do you feel gloom and doom and depression? He was scared because he understood that the Western world was built upon Christian absolutes and upon the absolute authority of God, and now it's all gone. How are you going to manage the whole society without absolutes? How are you going to tell this guy that he's wrong? And I'm here to ask you this question in a Nietzsche kind of way. Is your God alive, or he's dead? Have you killed your God? Because I'm here today to tell you that God is real and he lives right here. There was a man in the Old Testament to whom God revealed himself explicitly as living, real God. And that guy's name was Moses. Let me read to you about it. Exodus 3. We'll be reading from the first chapter to 6. Now Moses was pasturing the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in the blazing fire from the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, and yet the bush was not consumed. So Moses said, I must turn aside now and see this marvelous sight, why the bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he turned aside to look, God called him from the midst of the bush and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Do not come near here, remove your sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said also, I am God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Then Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Moses was a simple but curious shepherd. Yes, he was growing up in the Pharaoh's house. He got great education, all of that. But at this point of his life, he amounted to nothing. He had a minimum wage job working for his father-in-law. That tells you something already. And then he had wife, he had children. So life was okay. Not great, not awesome. Okay, livable, right? Right up until the moment that he saw this light, and this light changed his life. He was shepherd. He spent a lot of hours going in the mountains and everywhere, and so he saw a lot of bushes, all right? He probably sometimes saw some fires too, but when he saw this fire, he knew that was no ordinary fire, and he was like, whoa, what's that? I'm going to go and check it out. What's going on with this fire? And there he encountered the living, attention, talking God and holy God. So my question to you today again, is your God real? Is your God living? Because if he is living God, he will manifest himself in you and through you. And if he doesn't, today you've got a problem to solve. So I'm looking at you, and quite honestly, I see your eyes, and that makes me very happy. Because I'm thinking, what are you thinking about? Probably like, where's it all going? So I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that the Lord got your attention right now. Because he wants to do the same that he did to Moses. That is, to reveal himself to you as a real, living, breathing, talking God. But why? What is the purpose? Let's read on from verse 7. The Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have given heed to their cry because of their taskmasters, for I am aware of their sufferings. So I have come down to deliver them from the power of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from that land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites and Hittite and the Amorite and Perizzite and Hivite and the Jebusite. Now, behold, the cry of the sons of Israel has come to me. Therefore, I have seen the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. Furthermore, therefore, come now, and I will send you to the Pharaoh, so that you may bring my people, the sons of Israel, out of Egypt. Because of the disconnect between us, the fallen humanity, and our God Creator, we live in a world that, in the words of Paul, is far away from God. And because of this disconnection, we sometimes experience what I call for myself, is the moments of truth. For example, your loved one, your relative, your friend is getting sick, and some even die. And you pray, and you fast, and you pray, and nothing happens. I want you to be really brutally honest with me right now. Really brutally honest. Have you ever experienced the moment when you pray, and you get nothing, and you get this feeling that God is either not there, or he is there, but he doesn't really care? Yes, who have experienced that, please raise your hand. Yeah, you're in a good company. See? Those moments of truth that we experience, those are the moments where we decide if our God is real or not, if he's alive or not. I will give you a bad example of a guy who decided that his God is dead. There was another 19th century famous guy who came up with an idea that we have the common ancestry with pretty much everything that we see, like animals, plants, bacteria, viruses. Hey, sister. Hi, brother, or both, whatever. So this guy had this idea for 20 years. He didn't tell anyone. But then something tragic happened. His oldest and most favorite daughter, Annie, who was 10 years old, she got scarlet fever and died. And that was a decisive moment for him. He decided to publish this work at that moment. That was a slap in God's face. Because in these moments, we decide whether our God is alive or not, and our decision then affects our relationship with God from that point on. So does God care? Does God care when somebody suffers? Does God care when you suffer? Well, he surely does. Look at what he says to Moses. Now behold, the cry of the sons of Israel has come to me. Furthermore, I have seen the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. Therefore, come now, and I will send you to Pharaoh, so that you may bring my people, the sons of Israel, out of Egypt. So here's the thing. When these things happen, we normally go like, we complain, we ascribe to God what he never did, we blame God for that, and we go like, does he even care? And he says, yes, I do. Like imagine these Israelites in Egypt, right? Year after year, they're abused, they're misused, they're suffering, and they're praying, and nothing happens, and they maybe go like, does God even care? And miles away from that place in Egypt, there is this guy pasturing his sheep, and God shows up and says, I see, I hear, I care. And therefore, I love this word, therefore, pack up your bags, we're going to Egypt. We sometimes, when we go through this, we expect God to move sovereignly, supernaturally, move in and fix all the mess and make it all perfect, right? But instead, a lot of times, he does that, given. But a lot of times, he chooses to work through people. He goes miles and miles away, chooses somebody for that task. And instead of complaining in this situation, should we rather not seek God and seek our involvement in his kingdom and his call? God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? Where do you want me to serve? And is that suffering? And is that death, especially eternal? And you say, well, what can I do? I mean, who am I? Right? I'm not the smartest pea in a pod. I don't have a great education. I'm not beautiful. I'm not rich. I'm not famous. I'm not a celebrity. What can I do? Who is going to listen to me? Right? Listen, this is not about you. This is not about who you are at this point. Right? It's about God and who he is and what he wants to do through you. Look at Moses, what he says. Then verse 11. But Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the sons of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, certainly I will be with you. And this shall be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mount. Then Moses said to God, behold, I am going to the sons of Israel, and I will say to them, the God of our fathers, he has sent me to you. Now, that they may say to me, what is his name? What shall I say to them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, thus shall say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God furthermore said to Moses, thus you shall say to the sons of Israel, the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial name to all generations. Moses is asking, who am I, God? And I'm wondering what was motivating him to ask this question. Was he just showing his humility? Like, God, there are other guys, they're better. And who am I to go to the Hebrews in Egypt? They don't listen to me. I was trying to protect one and they just made fun of me, and there is Egyptian police waiting on me for murder to arrest me. There are other guys more fit to this. Or he was just trying to find an excuse to get out of this situation. But you know, the mind-blowing thing is not only what the Bible says, but what it doesn't say. And in this case, God totally dismisses all these motivation and all these objections, and he says one answer to everyone. No matter what your objection and what your motivation is, there is only one answer to everyone. I will be with you. And that's all that matters. Because here's the thing. You may be the best person in the world. You can be the most educated, the most famous, the most richest man in the world. But if you're trying to do something for God, and God is not in it, good luck. Because Satan is smarter, Satan is more powerful, and he has much more resources and experience than you do. So this is guaranteed failure. But if God is with you, all your insufficiencies are going to be supplemented by God's power and wisdom. I don't hear amens. That's okay. A simple boy was born in a dairy farm in North Carolina to a simple family. But God called him to preach the gospel, and he started off really small. He preached to the youth and then went on and on and on, and God made him one of the few, the most influential people in 20th century. Do you know who I'm talking about? Yes, you do. See? So my question is this. If God could take a simple boy from a dairy farm and make him in such a giant, what is your excuse? How can God not take you and make you something great as Billy Graham, maybe even greater, for his glory? And the most important part, the cream of the crop, the icing on the cake, the best part of this passage, I left it all for the end. So Moses says, okay, all right, I'll go. All right, let's suppose I go to these Israelites and I say, God of your fathers sent me. And what if they ask me, what's his name? What am I going to answer? And God says, I am who I am. Tell them, I am sent you. This is what we say, Yahweh or Jehovah. And from what I know, and I don't know a lot, but we don't really know how to pronounce this word because there are 4 consonants and no vowels in writing. So the first 2 are the most important is Yah. Yah is the I am, meaning living or life. And the Yahweh, from what I've read, is the one who lives, the one who exists, the one who's also the one who gives existence and who gives life. So I want you to see God's irony in this answer. But first, answer me this question. Why do we even use names? Why do I need to say Professor Walker instead of just saying professor? Why do I need name?
Clarity, distinction.
Distinction from what?
From Professor Allen.
Yeah, from other professors, right? So we need names to distinguish one member of a bigger group from other members of this group, right? So if Moses goes to these monotheists, right, to Egypt, and he says, God of your fathers, send me, and why would they even ask what's his name? Think about it. If you believe that God is only one, why do you need name? Right? So instead of just saying like, Moses, this is a dumb question, you know, he says this, if you want to distinguish me from other gods, here's an idea. I'm the one who exists. I'm the one who is real. The others, not so much. So God manifested himself to Moses as a real, breathing, living, talking God. So my question to you today, again, in a Nietzsche kind of way, is your God real? Is your God alive? Who is he for you? a mere biblical character, a theological doctrine, a philosophical construct, or an object of Christian Sunday worship? Who is He for you? And do you really believe that He cares? If He doesn't live in your heart, my message today is, yes, He does care. He does care enough to send His only begotten Son 2,000 years ago to die on the cross instead of you, to defeat the first cause of all the sufferings and death, is sin. And if you don't know Him, repent and accept Him into your heart. If you already did that, and God calls you to something, or you experience some difficulties, instead of complaining, instead of scratching your head and thinking about the problem of evil, ask yourself a question: what can I do in this situation to make it even a little bit better? But until you accept God's calling on your life, you will never be able to fulfill your God-given destiny. So accept your call and serve the living, breathing, talking God. Amen.